Eliana Carlín Ronquillo is a political scientist, works at the Universidad del Pacifico, and she's co-author of a very interesting book, 20 Peruvian Heroines, where she rescues, the significance of key women throughout the history of Peru that plays a significant role in changing society for the better. She's also a co-founder of one Peruvian Heroines, but also No to Keiko Fujimori, of course, the candidate. I've seen Eliana doing several interviews in many places, and we are very privileged to have her with us. Eliana, go ahead, the floor is yours. Adelante.
Perfecto. Bueno, primero,
Perfect. First, thank you for this opportunity to share the situation in our country. From Lima, hello to everyone. I prepared some notes regarding the current situation in Peru. I'd like to give you a scenario, a general scenario, the current situation, and so to prepare for other participants on this panel. It's a very exceptional panel, so we want to make sure they participate. As we know, at this time in Peru, we are dealing with a president that has not been elected. Not only not elected, it is a president has no following at all amongst the people. 90% of the population rejects her. We have a regimen, already 70 deaths, mainly by bullets. Beavers, as mentioned in the all of these bullets, most of these bullets have been geared against the target of the head and the bodies. Some of them are minors, younger, others who are bringing health services to those wounded. Also, ambulances and these type of vehicles to help were also a victim of these attacks. In the first days, the number of people dead. The current president, in addition to, despite everything, she had the audacity against her. And she's using the fact that she is a woman without a number. But does not take into account there's hundreds of thousands of women who are victims. In our country today, and 2023 only, más de ¿cómo? Despite all these deaths, the words of the president, it's unacceptable. And us women, we are not allowing this to happen. And we have to share very second, Radhika, can you ask her to speak more slowly?
Eliana, you can speak a little bit slowly, please, for the translator.
Of course, I'm sorry. Yeah. I tend to speak very quickly.
It's okay. Whatever you can do. Yeah.
Thank you. En uno de los últimos feminicidios,
and one of the latest deaths of women in one area in the center of the city, only a few streets from the governor's house, the Ministry of Women, current Ministry of Women, she expressed her, entonces, as she said, it's better that the women elect their husbands. In this context, amongst the citizenship, the current Ministry of Education of she compared the indigenous nations as animals because they didn't know, they had no place to leave their kids to have them protected. This is just an example of the from the leadership of the current government, the positions that have been taken in this country. One example, some concrete examples of what is happening. Nevertheless, every day there are statements that insulting statements against the citizens of our country. During the government of Castillo, was very seriously criticized. Supposed technicians, functionaries, civil service, that he wasn't prepared enough by the West to have a proper cabinet ministers to administrate this situation. But Pedro Castillo, he did have prepared technical, amongst other things, authorities, experience. Only there were limits imposed by the government and other organisms related to the government. It's that the state, to say that a state is entering in a period of instability, the lack of diplomas and proof of it. But however, the tens of thousands hurt in these demonstrations are not counting for them. These same Congress people and these journalists, why do the life of the Peruvian people not count? Why are they a fifth category of citizens? We don't have any responses from them. The criticisms, the functionaries working for Pedro Castillo were not treated properly in our society. Only take into account the elites of that in Peru, tens of thousands injured. All of those people who are indigenous origin do not cannot speak Spanish properly. These comrades are always being accused by the forces of order as being terrorists, etc., supposedly terrorists. All the time, they have been victim of the state, especially native peoples. And so if there's not been any election, the criticism of those that are making, that are working with the government, not only of racist, for the elite from Peru, it is absolutely impossible for the Peruvian elites to admit that native people can be ahead of in the government. They cannot be not part of this neoliberal status quo. They represent an enormous challenge to the country. Over 200 years, the elite had complete control over their property, and no, they have not distributed the riches of the country, but they're very they talk a lot when it comes time to criticize the native people, but never to have accept them in the society. What are they never take into account what they are asking for themselves as citizens? The privilege, the privilege to have private property, and go to visit other cities, to speak various languages, etc. And the citizens of Peru are now demanding their rights. They feel they're afraid because of the threats. Finally, everything has to be based on the oppression by the state against the others. Regarding the Congress of the Republic of Peru, there's 130 Congress members. The protests, the demonstrations has one of the demands that the Congress of Peru has to go. They do not represent us. 90% of the population rejects that Congress, including the president. The demonstrations are targeting those women and men. The demand of the citizens, not only against the Congress and against the persecution of Pedro Castillo from the first day after day. Pedro Castillo, his behavior has been very impressive, and the current government is the most corrupt of Peru in the whole history. Is the head, this is corruption. And as the Congress of the Republic, corruption that in practice, what we have formally a president, but now we have a Congress that the Congress abuses its parliamentary majority. They're only interested in their own interests. It's a question, not a question only of ideological, political. It is a question of economic interests, and that is connected with neoliberalism. They have behind them, they have narco traffickers. The youth are being used, control over gasoline, etc. These are the economic forces that today are within the current parliament. And we have found in this situation. We can spell for it's completely corrupt, very well closely linked to narco trafficker. The third line of the crisis. In this current, the demonstrations across the country, at this time, in the South, yes, they are continuing. Yes. See, but it's very important, difficult for them to keep up that same standard of demonstrations or protests over the last few months. To comrades and comrades, this is my perspective. very quick,
conocer muy bien la realidad para poder afrontar
but that you know the reality of our situation in Peru.
I'm Michael Hudson. I'm appearing here for the International Manifesto Group. If you like this video and ones like it, please subscribe. For more information, go to the address on the screen.